How's it going, everybody? We're back here with the Americans. I'm your host today, Alex, and I'm here with Alki. How are you, Alki?
I'm good, man. It's been a while, but glad to finally catch up and catch up with you and the team.
Yes, it's good to be back, and it's good to see you, Alki. And let's just jump right into it. Let's not waste any time because we have some good stuff to talk about. Some really positive news. We'll start with the midweek match, which was I'm sure everyone knows what happened, but it was our Europa League match with Pilsen, where we ultimately drew 1-1, but at the end of the day, we progressed after penalties. Like I said, the full 90 and 120 ended at 1-1. The scoring opened with Tete, assisted by Taborda. Really nice kind of flick pass from Taborda at the top of the box. Tete carried it, couple touches, then right foot, strong finish, side netting to the keeper's right. Really, really good striker's finish. And that was early on in the game, too. That was in the ninth minute. So that set a good early tone in this leg where we were playing away and obviously needed a result in order to at least force extra time. Um, that was the end of the first half at 1-0. And then at the 62nd minute, Pilsen equalized at 1-1 with Spacil. And that's all she wrote for 90 minutes and 120. But in that extra time, we did have a red card. Javi Hernandez got sent off for last man foul, which made the task quite difficult for our boys. But they endured. It was gritty. And they got to the penalty shootout, which was, I mean, goes without saying, huge because it gave us a fighting chance. And not only that, we made it through 4-3 on penalties. So yeah, 1-1 full time, 3-3 aggregate. And we progress on penalties to the round of 16 in Europa League. Tell me, Alki, what do you think about the game? What did you think about the game?
I think emotions are a little bit of everything, really. I mean, I think overall gameplay, as we've been seeing for the last few games, just in general, has been lackluster, to put it politely. Some good spot moments here and there, but it seems like a lot of play has been just a lot of individual brilliance. Like you mentioned, a great ball by Taborda. Tete has been just sensational ever since coming to us in general. Um, Credit to the boys where it's due, even going down to 9 or 10, whatever it was, with the red card. They held on. It's not easy playing that long, and especially in just kind of the how important the game was too for just European moving forward and just for placement for us, just kind of a little bit of everything. Um, but at the end of the day, they got it done. Penalties were, I'd say, for the most part, well taken. I will say, I was super pumped after the first save by Lafont. Great save in the shootout, guessed right, and then the follow up was just a very. It looked like a pretty predictable, easy guess for their keeper to save, which basically put us back at equal leveling. So it's just kind of the anxiety settling in. I mean, a penalty shootout just in any moment's always just kind of like whether it's your team and just in general. Uh, I think it just kind of puts you at the edge of your seat, and especially if it's your club, it kind of just the nerves don't settle until the end. But happy about the result overall. Huge for us and for the club, and just like we always say, onward and forward. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it goes without saying. I think we're all ecstatic about it. I guess I'll start from the beginning. Because like, you kind of touched on it a little bit, what our play has been like over these recent games, months, whatever you want to call it. And it's I think slightly getting better. It's progressing in the right direction compared to where we were in like January. I think also the results show that the results were worse in January. The performance was worse in January. The individualness was, I think, worse in January. and now February getting a little better, and now we're into March. So in this game, I thought we started off pretty well. I think it was indicative, not only by the goal, but I think we didn't have crazy chances, but we started off fairly well away, which is what you want. I think as the game progressed, Pilsen grew into the game. We grew out of the game. It felt like a goal from them was coming. Um, so it wasn't super surprising that it did come. Yeah, I think we just had inverse trajectories as the game progressed. Overall, I wasn't like hugely disappointed about how we played. I think I was more disappointed about like that, like we were fizzling out over the 90 rather than like, having bouts of momentum. Um, so that's kind of my general impression. You mentioned the individuals, like the individuals are, that I don't I'm all in. Like I don't know what I feel like the last time we were on, I had a little, geek out sesh about him, and I don't want to do it every time, but he's just like he is something
Sensational, man. I
else.
mean, just
I'm 100% full on in. Like I
we just haven't had a pure, true goal scorer up top like him in a very long time. And
yes,
not even that
yes.
he's the same style players like, let's say, the Bergs and the Cisse's, but just in general, like, you just look at him for his size, his skill on the ball and his dribbling, like, and how he gets past guys with ease. Like, it doesn't look like it if you just take a first look at him. Um, and just the ball's like a magnet. Like the guy just knows how to play and knows how to score. He'll make
Yeah.
something out of nothing if he needs to. And we've
Yep.
seen that week after week for him.
And we've started, you kind of said it, we started to see the comps like, after the game, after the Addis game, which we'll get to, but after the game at the weekend, we started seeing CSET comps on Twitter. We on the pod have talked about like a lot of us, I think Adoni and probably yourself, Alki, and Yango, I know, kind of talked about maybe some 40 comps. And we don't have to like we don't have to like make it that he is one or the other. Like you said, he's not necessarily a Berg, he's not necessarily a Cisse, he's not necessarily a Foti. And that's what I see in him. Like what he brings to the table. Like, yes, he's been scoring crazy these last few games, but he's just plain fun to watch because even when he's not scoring, he has something in his pocket that I think makes him kind of in between Cisse and Foti. Like he goes and gets the ball, right? He can hold the ball. You see him on the wing a lot, something that we saw from Foti too, this kind of very mobile nine. While Cisse is more of that, like classic clinical number nine poacher, if you will.
Right,
And I
right.
see him kind of in between that Foti and Cisse, which I think is what contributes to like him being really fun to watch because it's not just like monotonous. It's not very one dimensional, very good skill set, appealing and effective. And I'm thinking also like in the goal that he scored the against Pilsen in the first in the first leg where he had that cheeky dribble, right? Like
Yep.
that's not every number nine has that in his pocket. Like there
No.
it's we don't see that often, especially at this level. So like it's not just about putting the ball in the net. It's also having that, like you mentioned before, those dribbles, the ability to do that. And he has that in his pocket. So even when he's not scoring, he has like the ability to kind of hook your eyes on the TV, which is really, really um, refreshing and awesome. So I'm all in. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I
my
mean
geek out session for this week.
it's infectious watching him. It's addictive, like you said. It's not even like a geek out session. It's I think it's just more like we finally get like something that we've been like ranting and raving for so long, and like nothing against Faulty. He had his one breakout season and he battled injuries, but came up big when we need him in certain moments. But like the consistency wasn't there, and it's just I don't think he was that same type of striker goal scorer we've been looking at for like what almost a decade now, basically over a decade, maybe.
Right.
So I think it's just like a breath of fresh air in the sense of just like we finally got like I don't want to put him as a true number nine, but in comparison with like what we've dealt with over the last few seasons of who's come and gone, like just a all out scorer, basically, like just a
Yeah.
prolific scorer, no matter
Yeah.
with his back to the ball, outside the box, dribbling around guys. Like you said, it's just a little bit of everything, and it's been a while since we've seen something like this.
And it'll be really, I think, because he has like such a nice skill set, it'll be really easy on him on the days that he's not scoring, right? Because it's going to come. Like, he's not going to score a goal a game. So even the games where he's not scoring, the perception of him is always going to be really positive because of this kind of, I don't want to call it flair because it's not really flair, but like just this skill set, the dribbling nature, the really mobile, going to get the ball, pacey. It's going to be really easy for him for on the eyes of the fans because he's always doing something. Like, it's
Yeah,
never going to be the case where like, oh my God, our number nine is not doing anything. And I'm comparing him to, and you might get me wrong here, but I'm comparing him to like the Maquedas, right? And those guys who like,
of
if those
course.
guys are not scoring, which often they weren't, it felt really bad and it was like a huge glaring issue in the team, right? But this is not the kind of thing. Even the games where he's not going to be scoring, he's bringing something to the table, both on the pitch that's productive, but also for the fans to
Off the
enjoy.
pitch, I mean, we saw once they blew that final whistle, we'll talk about it like over the weekend and in Europe even. Once they blew final whistle, you saw Pantovic put that goal. Like he was the first one just running and sprinting,
Right.
like so happy. Like just that kind of energy he brings and confidence he has on the field is just like we said, we see it kind of just going out everywhere.
Right. So that's the geek out for Tete. I'm sure he'll come up again in the pod, probably later when we talk about Addis. But the only other thing I have to say about the game, not the only other thing, I could say a lot, but ironically, I thought when we went down to 10 men, I thought we played actually a little better. Like, if you compare how we were between like the 80th and 90th minute, which is probably like, it was our weakest point. It was like the most that we had fizzled out and the most that Pulsen had grown into the game.
Yeah.
We were kind of just struggling to get to that 90. If you compare that 10-minute stint with the 10-15 minutes between 105 and 120, where we had a
Yep.
man less, I think we actually played better with that man less. We had a few pretty decent chances almost to win it in that 10-man lopsided uh, 15-minute period. And I don't know, it's almost ironic that that happens, not because we just only had the man less, but like we've seen the inverse happen to us. When we are the man up, we've had the other team, especially in the Greek league against, mid to low table sides, we've had them play up with a man less. And now that was kind of us on last Wednesday. So, or last Thursday, sorry. So I don't know, that kind of just made me think about that and how we're always doing the opposite of what you'd expect. And I don't know what else to say other than just like laugh about it, but it is just interesting.
It's such a, as we say, like tuts in PAO fashion, like so cliche of us, but I think a lot of it has to do with like I talked about earlier and didn't get a chance to say it on any of the pods, but just with the amount of business we've done in the last window, so many new faces. But in a sense of usually when there's that much like turnover and stuff coming in, it takes a while to gel. And I hate to say it against some of the players that have gone or that have been they've taken their place in the lineups, but I just feel like we've got just like I said when we went down, we played with a little bit more purpose, just smarter on the ball, smarter passes, possession. Um, I just think the quality or the IQ of the players we have out there in those moments plays a bigger role compared to like bless his heart, he played with passion, but like when we're up and we need to see the game out, we'd send in like a Maldenovic, for example, and then an error happens and then a goal. Either him or on the right side with Gotsiras or whatever it could be, in the middle with midfielders. Just I think the turnover is kind of just the mini rebuild has been for the better, and everyone just kind of bought in. It seems like. Especially look at Taborda. I want to touch a base on
Yeah.
him. We're gonna
Yeah.
touch base on him about the Addis game too. But you said January looked shaky. Since the end of January, the Roma game up until now, I mean, he's got let's see, two assists and I think 4 or 5 goals in all comps in like 10 or 11. Like we're writing him off as like essentially
A
kind of a
flop.
a
A flop.
flop because he
Yeah.
costs a lot of money too. Um,
Four-ish, right? Four and a half, something like that, right?
I think more, but yeah, I mean,
More.
I might be getting confused with the Andino kid. We did pay a lot for him too, but both, I mean, yeah, and I think credit to Rafa. He's found him. He's being played in the correct position, I think, finally, and not getting scrub minutes as just like a striker tail end of games. He's getting involved. They're keeping him on set pieces as we've seen from corners from the weekend in that game. The assist to Tete. I mean, he's just kind of a little bit of everywhere. He's completely turned everything around.
It all started, and we've pointed this out before. It all started in that league match. I don't remember now who it was. Maybe it was Kifisia. It was one of those mid to low table sides, but in that league match in like January where he came on 80th minute and he was hustling like no other. We drew that one 1-1. I could, if I look at it, I'll go find it. But anyway, it doesn't really matter who the opponent was. What matters is that what he was doing in those 10, 15 minutes that he was playing, he gave us the best chance to actually win that match. We ended up not winning, but his hustle, he won two free kicks in at the death, right? It was
I
within
remember that.
30 seconds. It was like 107 stoppage time, or sorry, 97 stoppage time, 7 minutes extra at the complete death. He was winning us two free kicks purely based on his hustle. And that's when that was like the turning point, right? That was the turning point sometime in January. And after that, we've seen him get more playing time, be completely different, get on the score sheet. But basically, what I see is that the guy wants it, right? The guy wants it, and when you want it, more likely than not, you are gonna get it and make it happen, and that's what he's doing. He wants it, and he's making it happen. So it's really nice to see, and it's just got full credit to him. And um, yeah, it's really refreshing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I don't have too much more to add. I guess that just kind of leads on. We obviously know who our draw is, and I'm sure the
I
uh
do want to highlight one more guy, because I think he deserves highlighting, along with Tete, Taporda, and it's Catrice, because he has
oh,
been also, I can't even say unsung hero, because he's getting sung praises. Like he's getting his flowers, which is amazing, because he's putting up some huge performances on the European stage, not just this game in the second leg against Pilsen, but before that also.
well, he had that
Um,
one. Was it against Pilsen in the first leg where he hit the bar,
That
or is
was,
that
I think,
Roma?
that was Roma. I think that was Roma.
Could have
But
been. I mean,
even that one, like even since that, right? That's when it all, because he was brought in
started.
January,
Yeah.
and he got thrown into you know the chaos of Europa League right from the beginning. Like he was not playing for, it was Olympiacos he was at, right? He was not pl
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yep.
was not playing for Olympiacos, and he went from not playing for, again, I know Olympiacos is, doing very well this season, so I don't want to discredit them at all, but he was not playing for a traditionally mid to low table side of Greece to playing meaningful minutes, 90s, for Silogos Megalos, right? Like it's crazy. It's absolutely insane what he's done in just 2 months. And this last game against Pilsen was like the capitalization of that, because he put in another solid performance. The fans are loving it. He went up to the fans after the game, singing along with the other players and the fans. So he's yeah, I didn't want to leave the game without highlighting him.
No, that's a good shout. I mean, looking at it, he's played since October of last year. He's played one match, 90 minutes with Olympiacos. In October, he played two or three, but like if you go through his game log, a 90 minutes every two or three matches. Sometimes he sat for four matches in a row. Um,
Dude, it's difficult to wrap your head around it. Like one match for Olympiacos, and then on the European stage for a team with huge European history. You see it on your phone in front of you, and you're like, I don't believe it, man.
I don't
Yeah.
know what or how Rafa decided, what he saw in him, and just, I mean, it worked to his own benefit, but it's just, yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
Do you
I'm
know
not
if it was a
too.
Rafa decision to bring him back in?
I don't. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm thinking just out loud here, like, what were the other options? I mean, our defense is pretty good. Playing against ahead of Calabria, I don't know if it was just he wanted young legs out there. Who knows who made the decision, but I mean, I mean, he's gotten more opportunities since then too.
I do have to, and this is kind of a more general thing. This is not just about the Poland game, but one thing that I wanted to also highlight in terms of like Gatri's, and you mentioned the defense, is that one thing that Rafa does kind of particularly well that I haven't seen really be highlighted. We get a lot of negatives of Rafa highlighted, but one thing that I think he does particularly well is kind of how he rotates the defense, and it continues to be pretty solid. Like he is using all our defensive assets, and I know he plays kind of this back five, so that kind of helps him, right? He
Right.
plays three center backs, whether you want to call it a back three or back five, but it's really a back five with three center backs and two wing backs. So obviously he's stacking the defense, but what I'm saying is that he uses all his defensive assets. Like Ingesson is playing, Jedva is playing, Gatric is playing, Palmer
Uba.
Brown is playing, Duba. Like all we have five center backs basically. They're all playing. Like it's not like you you kind of can't even really pick a pecking order. Like you kind of can. Like Ingesson gets the biggest games. Like I think Ingesson is his kind of rock. Duba, like there is. I don't want to say there's not a pecking order, but like the amount that he's using all these five center backs,
He has a lot of
kind of.
trust in those guys.
Yeah,
It's a
I
little
think that
concerning from the outsider in, just if you were to look at it on paper, not knowing anything about it, just seeing so much heavy rotation. But you
I
do
do
bring
want
up
to
a good
give
point.
I do want to give credit there because it's not nothing. Like other times, even under Yova, where we had a really solid defense, like it was like, okay, you have two preferred center backs, and okay, you have the third one who you kind of rotate in, but then the fourth one is like you're never seeing him. So like to be using five center backs relatively equally and effectively, I think that deserves some credit.
And I mean, if you kind of go through it, looking at the roster, just touching base back on it, I mean, starting from the defense, even going the midfield, we've said, oh, another midfield signing, but we've got so much, and he kind of does the same with the midfield. Um, and then with the attack, we've got a pretty good number of players in each position where I don't feel that there's ever a guy when Rafa has to bring someone in that it's like you kind of hold your breath, like a Kotsiras or a Maldenovic or Jerry coming on to kind of find a last minute goal or something. And I was going to ask you this because obviously there's a lot of, you know, pros and cons to what everyone thinks of Rafa, but, at this point, what's your temperature on him? Because I think a lot of the hate not necessarily isn't undeserved, but I can understand it. But at the same time, do we want to go through another circus of another coach like this late? Key points. I think he's also done a lot of good.
Yeah. Listen, I've kind of been consistent with what I've said, not only in Rafa's tenure, but also dating back to like the Rui days and the Tareem days when we were in kind of similar positions in, let's call it spring now. We're in March. So like a lot of, the Rui's and the Tareems and the Rafas have the same kind of template timeline in the sense that like they kind of came in, stopped the fire, and then they had like the second half of the season in front of them, right? And that's where we are now with Rafa. And my opinion on all of them is like just let him play out, right? Because they need a like I know they all basically had the winter transfer window, but they need the summer transfer window to like kind of build their team. They need time, and I'm not making excuses for any of them, but like you don't want to like prematurely nip something in the bud before you really give it a fair chance. Um, and on top of that, like you also alluded to, we've been through this coaching merry-go-round, and I want anything that could help not continue that. And giving him and the other guys, I think, more time is beneficial. The other guys, Tareem got less time, Rui got more time, whatever. Like that's history. But I see ourselves in a very similar position like we were in previous times with those guys. And I think he will see out the season. And I think he will be our coach next season. And I think that is the right move, regardless of how this season ends. even if we, for whatever reason, miss out on Europe, which I don't think is going to happen, and I mean, miss out on Europe is going to get determined in the qualifying because we're going to go into the qualifying. But as it looks like, we are finishing fourth or fifth right now, so we will have European qualification, and I think that's all you could ask for given where we are right now. We have no cup, right? Okay, is he responsible for that? Yeah, he is responsible for that, but we have no cup. We are having a good run in Europe, and hopefully we finish fourth or fifth, which is the likely scenario. So I think all signs show that he's done fine, and he should be here come August. And also, I think this is a good time. Sorry, I'm going on and on and on, but I think this is a good time to point out that I think there was a stat that since, was it January or December, we've collected the second most points in the league, only behind Ajax. It doesn't feel that way because we had kind of a bad run of form in January, which we talked
Yeah.
about, 10, 15 minutes ago. So it doesn't feel that way, but the stats show that, we've been the second best team from, I can't remember when the start point of that stat was, but it was like January, something like that. We've been the second best team. So to even be discussing like potential exit of the coach, given that context, is kind of ridiculous. But again, I understand why it's coming up because the style of play that we're playing is maybe not what is making us feel like we do have the second most points accumulated from that time.
Right. And some of the losses, we look at like we always will question like lately, especially like his game management has been kind of questionable in moments. But I only bring it up to ask because obviously it's going to be the talk, and I don't know, has he met or not met your expectations, exceeded them? I mean, obviously I'm basing this off of as of now. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, I guess, because prior to us, he hadn't coached in, I think, what was it, like 18 months without a club or something. But
I would say that I would say that I need a little more from the style of play, right? Like I'm not
right,
100% satisfied with how we play. I did allude to it before that like I think we are looking better and better. We're not 100%, but like compared to how we were playing in January, I think we are playing better now. We are not struggling as much, both result wise, but also like goal wise, finding the goal, these kinds of things, build up play, ball movement. So it's not the finished product, but I see improvement. So that's reassuring a little bit. Um, Expectation wise, like in general, I don't know how much more I could have asked from him. Like, did we get knocked out from the cup? Yeah, that kind of sucks because that was kind of very important for, the European ticket. But I think one thing that we've talked about on this pod, both us and I think the Australians, is kind of this honeymoon period when he first came in. And every coach has that, right? Like even Rui came in and he had like a really good like first 10 game run. Um he picked up the fucking mess that was Alonso, right? And he had this really good opening stint and then it kind of fell off. Um Rafa the same thing. Really good opening 5, 6, 7 games and then fell off. I think we have with our coaches, we have the honeymoon period, which has been well documented, but all these coaches also kind of have that like fall off period too. So like
of course.
I think I think he got almost, I don't want to say a bad rap because I'm not also apologizing for anything he's done, but I think we really focused a lot on that honeymoon period and we talked about like how it was like unique or anything, but we didn't really consider that like a lot of coaches have had like the post honeymoon period too. It's not just him. Like
Yeah.
it's not just him that's had this post honeymoon period. And I think now we're coming out of that post honeymoon period, which we've also seen from other coaches. So it's like it's not linear with any of these guys. Like they all
No.
come in, they kind of hit the ground running, there's a fall off, and then they all kind of come back. Tareem also had that. Like Tareem, whatever. Like I don't want to go into specifics of them, but like all these guys in the past 2, 3 years have had these very similar, you know, prototype.
The progression levels just
Yeah,
all very just too eerily similar, and
So I think the only thing that I would pick out about Rafa is the style of play, which I think could improve, but I have seen some improvement, so I'm hopeful.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
How do
mean,
you how do you feel about it?
I'd say overall, I'd say he's probably exceeded my expectations only because when we signed him, I wouldn't say I was unhappy. I just it kind of made me feel like dictating what direction the club is trying to go in. And I didn't think at the time, and I could be proven right later on, but I didn't think at the time that was the right move or right coach to go for. Um, Overall results, I expected bumps in the road, like you said, with the cup. Europe, look where we are. Like you said, in the league, not the prettiest, but still getting results. So I would say in that sense, he's definitely exceeded my expectations. Overall, yeah, you want to nitpick, like I said, game management, our style of play, we still have to find kind of an identity, but I think with so many winter additions, like with Tete, like we said, the Tabordas finding their feet, like that'll slowly mesh in and we'll be able to find hopefully a style play unless somebody leaves. Um, an important piece. So I think that just like you said, that it needs time. You need to build that up. It's
Yeah.
not going to just happen overnight. And I feel like a broken recorder saying it because we say it with every coach, but you got to give him time, just like we awarded Rui that time, and we got to see what the finished product is, if it's going to actually stay falling off or if it's going to, kind of improve from here on out. But
And honestly, I already said this a couple minutes ago, but he's not going anywhere. Also because of his payout, like Alafuso's not paying that out. It's just not happening. It's not bad enough to warrant such a huge payout. It's nowhere close to
yeah,
bad enough. We have been in way worse situations, and I know other coaches have not had such high payouts. But like when you add in context, like second most accumulated points since whenever, let's say January, you know round of 16 in Europa League. Okay, cup out, but it was still the semifinal. When you add in all of these, context points, it does not warrant a what is it, 4 million payout. It does not, and Alafuzo's definitely not thinking of warrants a 4 million payout. Let me tell you that.
no, because even if let's say
So
he does, then we end up with like some really low budget, no name coach or Greek interleague coach, like gonna interim take over or something, and
yeah,
then the cycle starts. So, anyways, I don't want to just carry on and on. I just wanted to
yeah,
see your
yeah.
thoughts, just because
Well,
it's always a
Rafa will come
topic.
up again in the weeks to come, probably even in this podcast. But he'll come up again, just like we're singing Tete's praises every week.
Yeah,
Same thing.
exactly. I mean, we can talk about him with Adi's game too, if you want to lead
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, let's go into that. So yeah, we after the Pilsen game midweek, we had Aris at home, which we saw out 3-1. The scoring was opened again in the ninth minute, this time from Javi Hernandez, who made up for his red card in Europe.
Pilsum, yep.
Yep. It was that was off was it a corner or a cross? I don't remember, but the ball came in from the right. It was flicked on for Badelidis, and then it found Javi Hernandez at the back post, who just it was like empty net slotted and right place, right time. Then we doubled our lead with, you guessed it, Taborda, assist from Juricic, and that was really nice finish. Kind of, he hit it with the laces. It wasn't super hard. It was placed really nicely in the bottom corner, but also driven with the laces. Good composure. You could tell that he just like has confidence in front of goal. Um, so good to see him back on the score sheet there. The lead was halved just a few minutes later. 2-1, Racic found the net, but then the final scoreline was settled by, again, you guessed it, Tete, who kind of scored a meme goal. The goalie came out, he like never had control of it, and like it was kind of a coming together of bodies, but again, he never had control of it, so there was no foul, and it kind of just like bumped
It went
around,
in.
and Tete gets credited. He definitely hit it. He gets credited. But kind of the most noteworthy thing about that goal is that he was on the pitch for It
45
was like
seconds or
40
something.
seconds. Yeah, 40 seconds. Yeah, not even a minute. So that's the goal was nothing to write home about, but the kind of the craziness of him just coming on first touch, less than a minute, was kind of funny. That's just it's just going for him. It's just going for him. I think someone I think I saw a post that I think it was on Tete's Instagram. Gatris commented. I think he commented Midas, like he's got the Midas touch,
Oh,
which is funny, because it really does feel that way. So yeah, that's 3-1 against Aris in the league. And yeah, I guess we could talk a little bit about the performance in this one because yeah, I guess kind of just going back on to what we were talking about, like Rafa Benitez, game style. What did you like or didn't like in this one?
Um, I liked most of it. Honestly, the who was it? I always gotta remember his name. It gave us problems. Is it Varela? Barella
On
on
them,
Aris? Yeah, he was on the left, I think. He might have shifted over later.
the Agonis was on the left, Gare,
Oh, maybe it was Gare. One of them,
Perez
he
was
had
on the
the
right.
yeah, he had the like blonde hair or whatever, but just giving us
Yeah.
problem. But I think overall the play was pretty solid for the most part. The only thing I'm bringing up about him is like, when Aris would hit the counter and then they'd set up their play, it didn't seem like there was any urgency in trying to pressure them. We did leave like a lot of gaps and openings for them to just invite pressure on us with scoring or getting offense going, especially after the Taborda goal, uh, which I was going to ask you, but like just in general, the play after that definitely seemed like they were almost in a sense I thought they were going to equalize it at one point. Um,
They they looked kind of sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
no, you're fine.
They looked like they looked decent compared to what we saw in the 3-0 in the cup.
Yeah,
Just that was like what, month and a half ago probably. That was in our January stint. Like they looked horrible in that game.
right.
Um and they looked pretty decent. Like I don't think the scoreline is particularly fair to them. Maybe like 2-1, like whatever. But I think there's some standouts. Like if you just look at the um the stats, they outpassed us, which was something that was really interesting in the moment. Like they kept showing it, and it was like hard to believe because like you don't off like you're not often getting outpassed. Like three,
Outpass, possession,
yeah,
and it's not only being outpassed, well, the number of passes is the one thing, but also like the accuracy we talked about in the chat with Sturg and stuff. Like that was one thing we stood out was we couldn't hold on to the ball. And when you
yeah.
compare it to them, it's frightening.
Yeah, 462 to 328, and like I know those numbers don't feel like they mean anything, but that's 150 passes off. That's quite a bit. Um, the possession, like you said, 58-42. This is at home. The shots 10 to their 13. But like the weird thing is that it didn't. I don't think we played bad in this one either. So it's like I feel kind of conflicted. Like I would never advocate to be out passed. I would never advocate to be out possessed
Right.
at home. Like, but I don't think we like it didn't feel glaring. Like that's the thing. Like they kept showing it on the thing, and like there were times that we were struggling to hold the ball, but I wasn't feeling like we were getting outplayed. Like those stats when you see like 60-40 possession or 150 passes off, you'd feel like you were getting outplayed. And I personally don't think we got outplayed. So it was like kind of like
No.
contradictory to like all this information kind of was felt contradictory.
Yeah, I think probably the excuse me, the second, like the last quarter of the second half, in a sense, time wise, is when it became a little more like, okay, guys, let's kind of get it together. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
second half, like I think the possession and the passing numbers, like you said, they kept showing it was kind of weird, but in a sense, like if you look at it overall, it was more frustrating on our end because even when we had the ball, after like two or three passes, we just couldn't string together more than that. And I don't even know if it was. I don't think it was necessarily the pressure from Aris. It was just they were just bad passes by our guys. Um, was the only real key takeaway I'd say that was bad on our end. But I guess my biggest question is both the scoring opportunities, the last two goals of the game. What are your thoughts? Like, what was it? Who was it that got? Was it Chedin or somebody else that got? I guess technically hit in the face with a
Oh,
hand
right.
on Aris's goal
Right.
before the build up, and then on the flip side, would it have been a foul with a Tete? I think they both balance each other out. But just curious on your thoughts if either one should have been
So
called the other way.
yeah. I agree with both calls. I do not think their goal should have been overturned. If that's getting called, that's really soft. That's really soft.
It
Is
was
there
soft.
some is there some, backwards motion with the hand to the
It did
face?
make contact, but I think
Yeah.
also I think Kutz said it best. If he didn't take that second and a half to react and maybe reacted instantly once the hand hit him in the face, I think they maybe would have taken a better look at it. But it was, I agree,
Yeah.
very, very soft.
If that's getting called, if you're losing goals because of that, like I think the game's kind of gone. Honestly, like that's I'm trying to be as objective as possible, and like yeah, I don't think goals should be getting called back because of
I
that. Again,
mean,
is there some contact? Yes. Can you really tell how much there is? Like,
I don't think there
no,
was
you
enough to overturn it,
yeah,
basically, and I think that's what the rule
exactly,
is, right?
exactly,
So
yeah.
I
It's
I
very
bring it up
much
because it's going to be the talking point. There's a lot of
right,
people that probably say that should have never happened, and then on the
right,
flip
right,
side, when Tete comes on, that's a 50-50 ball in my eyes. I don't think
right.
that should ever be overturned either.
I think you bring up a
Um,
really good point because the rule is it has to be a clear and obvious error for these things to get overturned. That's kind of the criteria for all of these replays. Like it's not just like we're overturning anything. It has to be a clear and obvious error. Um, and I don't think either is a clear and obvious error. And
yeah.
like you said, the Tete is like I don't think there's if the keeper had possession of the ball, then it's a completely different conversation. He did not have possession of the ball.
No,
It's
it's
not
kind of
like
like a simultaneous thing, and he got
right,
pushed
right,
into
right.
him technically.
Right. So again, I without harping on about it, I think both are the correct calls. I'm glad neither got overturned. Um, yeah,
But yeah, other than that, I think the score kind of represents kind of how the game should have gone. Um, Not to, like I said, like, and you mentioned it too. It's not that Adi's played bad. Maybe a 2-1 would have been more flattering
yeah,
in their eyes, but in a sense, I think other than yeah, like we said that, I think the Tete goal would have made up for if that other call got overturned or not. But in a sense of other than that, kind of just like we said, magnet to the ball type of situation for him.
right,
2-1 kind of really did define how the game went overall. Um,
yeah, yeah. And it's weird because like again, XG is not everything. I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but like in a game where we got outshot, we had 2.36 to their 0.71. So I think that's just kind of it just if we're gonna weigh that a little bit, I think it just shows that like our chances were very good chances. Like okay, the Javi Hernandez one, the first goal, that alone probably has a very high XG, right? He's like feet away
right,
from the goal, open net. It's not one, but it's probably zero point 0.8, zero point 0.9, right?
right.
But our other chances, the ones that actually went in, let's say the Taborda, not a super high XG goal. The Tete one, I know it was like a meme goal, but that was not, I don't think, a high XG either. So in general, like out of the 10 total chances that we had, there were quality chances. They weren't, whatever chances. I'm also thinking a little bit too, and this is going all over the place a little bit now, but the Poulsen, they had quite a few shots in that game too, but they were taking like a lot of long shots. Um,
I
so
feel the same about Aris though, and I
yeah,
think that's why, like I said, towards the end, it felt like they were threatening, just like Polzen, but not in a sense of like clear cut chances, like in front of goal or anything. Um, they were threatening and getting into our half and finding the gaps, but never like really finding that moment to like really get in front of goal and get a good chance. I feel the same with Audis. Like I said, their wings and they got played down the middle and stuff, but nothing ever really stuck out. That was like, yeah, they had one chance that they just completely blew it. Um, and I feel the same about Polzin. It was kind of
Yeah.
similar.
Um, so yeah, I think that's basically it, unless you have anything to add in terms of what we had to review. We talked about Aris, we talked about Poulsen before that, and now
And
we
that
look
puts us
forward
what
to,
level on the table
yeah,
with
so that's kind
Levadiakos.
of the big talk. Yeah, we are level with Olympiacos. We've climbed all the way back, and now we're even on 39 points, and we have a game in hand. And we play them this weekend. So that's kind of what we have to look forward to. So before that, midweek, we have Offi, which is the makeup for I think the very first match day, which never got played. So we have that makeup. That's midweek, and that's home, I think. Uh, that's home. So we have Offi home midweek makeup. And then we have Olympiacos at the weekend, which is like, kind of season defining, if you will. Because like we said, even on points, game in hand, 6 pointer. Um, so I guess we could, how do you feel about what we have this week in the league, like where we're headed? And yeah,
I mean, well, the Offie game also can kind of dictate what the weekend will look like, right? Because
yeah,
it's the makeup game. Um, I think the biggest takeaway between the two also is like Levadiakos, I think if we look at them, they're kind of in a bad run of form right now, right?
yeah,
Um, they're winless in their last, what is that, six or seven? They essentially haven't won a game since the start of February. And I think since that game after that, they've scored 4 goals. They're in kind of a scoring route, which is kind of shocking
yeah.
because even then, they still lead the league still in total goals
Which is
scored
crazy. That's crazy.
with 6 duds basically. The last, let's see, 4 games they haven't scored in the last four, and they still lead the league in goals.
this was
So
this was
it's
bound to happen.
of
Like I
course,
I don't I don't want to take anything away from them, but like everyone loses steam. We've seen it from us. We've lost steam in the past. We've seen it from higher leagues like, Arsenals and stuff like that. They're bottles. But everyone loses steam, but I think these small sides are even more prone to losing steam because they're not used to these, prolonged runs. And it's not taking anything
right?
away from them because they've put together a really good season, and being the top scoring team in the league is only a testament to that. But this was bound to happen, and we catch them at a really good time, like you said.
Yeah, and I guess kind of it's like a double-edged sword because we are catching them at a good time, but at the same token, we can't lose track of the fact that they are capable of putting 4 or 5 and past the net. Like we've seen him do it all season long. Yeah, they may be in a slump, but again, it could be like this could be a turning point for either team, really. Because we could be the team that, if they beat us, they turn their season back around in a sense, middle of the way, and get back to winning ways or scoring goals. Uh, and on the flip side, it could be, turning point for us where we continue our form and really take care of that, what is it, number 4 spot. So I think, like you said, kind of season defining in a sense of where we're going to be at because it's probably going to be one of our most important matches of the season, really.
Yeah, there's only four total games left for us. That's including that game in hand. One of them is against Levadiakos, but it's Ofi, Levadiakos, Panetolikos, and Asteras. So it's the bit like, and then obviously it's the playoffs. But those four games are going to decide if we're in the top four playoff or if we're in the 5 to 8. And likewise for them, I think they had a slightly more difficult schedule. Let me
They have us,
just
Pauk, and Atromitos
us back
left.
on. So yeah,
They
that
have
is,
one of the big boys up top still left, and we've got an easier schedule technically.
yeah,
So
and they have to play PAOK away. So I don't want to say that's a certain loss, but that's not
it's
that's
just a
not
tough place to win.
that's not what they want. All right, that's not what they want. And like we have, we've the teams that we're playing, Asteras has given us trouble in the past, so that's nothing is certain. But if we go into the Olympiacos game +3 from them, that's really big. And then if we win that, that's +6. That's that's
That
that's it.
separates the
That's
gap.
that's done. That's done.
Hopefully, exactly.
So, like you said, the Alfi game this in midweek is hugely important because it's going to kind of define what we kind of should not expect, but like define what we're looking at this weekend.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
big week for the team and for Rafa, as we've talked about all pod. I mean, this is a really big week just for everyone. We're gonna kind of see what kind of rotation we're gonna look like. And Alfie has kind of given us trouble this season too. They're not really a slouch. They just kind of are one of those teams this season who've kind of hung around and just give you trouble. Not necessarily outplay you in any sense, but um,
Cup
yeah, just
finalists, Cup finalists.
yeah.
That's back to back years Cup finalists.
And we just beat them recently, but I don't remember that
Yeah,
game being like very defining either. It was I think
no,
1-0 up until like what last minute penalty
yeah,
by Calabria. So
yeah. So they're not
um,
they're not pushovers, no, and yeah. So that's the two games to look forward to this weekend, the stakes. And also I think one thing I also want to throw out there, the difference between getting the top four playoff or the 5-8 playoff is obviously the European ticket. It's fourth versus fifth at this point, and the European ticket that they offer. It's Conference League in both cases. I don't maybe you gain around fourth versus fifth. I'm not sure. But also I think like the European ticket is the most important thing. Don't get me wrong, but I think also being in the top four playoff, obviously like pedigree wise, that's where we want to be. That's where we belong. But we want to play those games against those top three teams, like the Olympiacos, AEK, and PAOK, especially under Rafa, because that's something that we've struggled in. So it's what I'm saying is we get to that playoff, that top four playoff, hopefully. It's going to give Rafa, like, because there's theoretically no stakes there. We're probably not going to push for third. So we're playing like these stakeless games. They're playing high stake games because the top three are all very close, right? It's anyone's title for the top three. So we're going to get their best versions. It's going to be a really good test for Rafa and the team. So I think that's kind of I don't know if I haven't really seen anyone talk about that. We're all focusing on the European ticket, rightfully so. That is the most important thing. But this test that is going to be given to Rafa and these for us low stakes games, I think is really important for also what we can expect and prepare for the in the next season.
yeah, I mean it's a lot of pressure. This biggest week right now, and then going forward, like you said, making that top four is going to be kind of how he handles the pressure for future games, not just for playoffs, but for next season and derbies and everything.
And
Um,
also, if that top four playoff is happening concurrent to hopefully us still being in Europe, that's also really good. Like, we don't have to tire ourselves out at the weekend because we're not going to push for third, but we're still playing high quality opposition rather than playing Asteras or Ofi or Levadiakos. No, Levadiakos, we wouldn't be together, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
right,
playing the
right.
top four is a lot better than playing the 5 through 8 when you're in high stakes European matches. It just keeps you sharp. So all in all, we want to make that top four, and yeah, hopefully this week is goes well for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we move on. I think the one last thing that we can kind of touch upon for the FC is our draw. So going back to European stuff, we don't have to do a whole preview because we're still a week or so away. That'll happen on the next pod with the Australians. But we did get drawn with Betis. It was between Midtjylland and Betis, basically, and we got Betis. So I feel like most of us think that is the harder of the two. Ironically, they are the technically lower seed. I think it was 4-5. Midtjylland was the 4 seed. Betis was the 5. So we theoretically got the easier on paper, but I think we all wanted to avoid Betis and we would have preferred Midtjylland. What do you think about the draw, Alki?
I mean, I don't really have too much stake in either side. Um, it's kind of hard to just say anything. I mean, Betis, for example, at the weekend gave up a two-goal lead, but we're a week out. We don't know what their form's going to look like. But they are, I feel like generally in Europe, every season they're always competing and making it tough and progressing pretty, I want to say close to quarterfinals almost each season or somewhere
Mm.
in that realm. So they're right where they should be, I think, just historically. And Midtjylland, don't know too much about them. I know I've been looking at them and they've been playing really well in Europe this season. I think for the most part, and in league. Um, I don't know if I had a preference between either one. Um, so like I said, very premature still. Any preference for you?
It's really hard to like make an educated statement when you don't watch these teams like all the time. Like in terms of names, obviously, like I think Betis is the bigger name, so like you kind of want to avoid them. Midtjylland, I think, is having a really good season. I think they sit second in their league,
Yeah, almost
and
60 goals. They're like clear
yeah.
over what almost definitely 12 plus, but 12 over first goals scored, and then the next closest is like 36, 37 goals. So they're scoring 20 goals more than 90% of the league.
Yeah, so they're definitely not a pushover. Obviously, they're like weaker league, but like doing really well in their league. Obviously, doing really well in Europe. They finished,
Yeah.
in that top eight spot. Betis sits fifth in obviously one of the best leagues in the world. They've had, I mean, yeah, you did mention they bottled the Sevilla game recently, but in the past month they've had kind of a little mixed results. Like they beat Atletico Madrid away, but also lost 5-0 to them just 3 days prior to that. So like, very up and down. Beat Valencia. They're kind of seem a little inconsistent. I think their recent run of form, kind of bottling Sevilla at home, 2-goal lead, like you mentioned, drawing with Rayo Vallecano at home before that, kind of seemed to be, we could call it a mini slump maybe, without obviously watching them and following them for a long term. But I think we we this is the time where we want to be facing them from our own perspective, right? Like we are better than we were in January. I think we're playing slightly better. Our results are better. The team is gelling better, and we have some really good individual performances recently. We've highlighted Tete, Taborda, all these guys. So this is a good time where we want to be playing them, and I don't know if it's a good time for them. So I think all the kind of, I don't want to say stars are aligning for us, but I think there's reason to be positive and hopeful.
Yeah, I think the only other, I don't know if you know the specifics behind it. The other big thing we got to remember is the rosters are set for Europe. So even with the new additions, if some guys are in form, some guys are gonna be left out just because you're only allowed so many changes
Right.
for registration. So um, I don't know. I don't know if that'll have an impact or an effect because I think they're kind of set in stone at this point, even just progressing forward.
I'm really bad at following that, but yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. But we do have Tete in, and
Yeah,
all the guys who are big keys in the polls in Tai, Tete, Taborda, Catris, all those guys are in. Ingeson was a rock,
yeah.
so the guy, I think Andino's in too, right?
I think yeah, I think him and
Yeah,
Tete were the additions. I don't
yeah,
think
and
like guys like
Javier Hernandez. Those are
Pantelidis,
the
for
three
example,
additions.
didn't get added. Would have been nice to have guys like him, or for example, or like
Koduris.
Konduris. I don't want to harp on him, but like Siopis, for example, I don't know how much he offers for us in the midfield, with our depth for Europe. But
I think the
um,
hands were tied. Like I think we
yeah,
spoke about this a couple weeks
we
ago
only
when we
had so
were
many you can make.
right. I think it was. I think it was me and Yango were talking about like what the additions were going to be, and we can only make three. And okay, listen, in a perfect world, would you swap Siopis for Koduris? Yeah, you would, of course. I think Koduris has been way more influential game in game out. But you had three things you could do, and Tete seemed like a gimme. Andino seemed like a gimme. You just paid 10 million for him. Okay, was the third one a toss-up? I think a lot of people were upset that he added Javier Hernandez instead of maybe Goduris or Padelidis. Um, I could see that, but at the same time,
You could still make a
not
case, even if you get one of them added, one of the other gets left out, and it's like you could make a case any which way. It's that the final three, like you said, it's like a devil's triangle. Pick your lesser of the two evils, or in this case,
yeah.
three. So,
So
but
that's
other than that,
that.
yeah, Europe. I think it's still too premature. There's a whole week left of
Yeah,
football of us to play and our opponent
yeah.
to really just kind of make a guess. And like I said, Midland, looking at them right now, they're haven't lost a game since December in their league.
Okay. Well, that's yeah. Listen,
So
at this stage, it's around a 16, right? So
you're not going to have
there's
any
no
favorable
easy games.
opponents. Yeah.
No easy games. And if you want to make a deep run, you're gonna have to beat good teams. Like, you know, is it nice to get like one extra round, which is not as difficult as the next? Sure, like of course, but you want to make semifinal. You're not gonna get a joke draw through the semifinal. Let me tell you that. So
No.
you're gonna have to beat good teams, and it starts now, right? We already did. Posen was, I guess we should have highlighted this before, but they were undefeated, right?
And still
They were the
technically
only,
are.
still technically are, right? They haven't lost a game in 90. They haven't lost a game in 120. And yet they are not no longer in the competition. So even them were not, that was not uh an easy draw and not an easy opponent either. And we dealt with it. So that's what's gotta keep happening if we want to keep going and making a run in Europe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that. I mean,
That's that. Looks like the game's going to be in Oaxaca. There was some chatter of it happening in Leoforis, I think. I don't know
I
how.
did remember seeing a little bit of that, but I don't know
I don't know how
where that
legit
came
that
from.
was. Yeah, that didn't. That never. I feel like this always comes up with the European stuff because, like, Leoforis is not up to standard. We always like try to push to get it in Leoforis. Oaxaca always has problems. Like this always happens. I think year in year out. So it didn't ever really feel like it was like a legitimate shout. So it's gonna be Oaxaca with Yarani Prapa. Um, Really good stuff. Really nice backdrop. I think it's going to be about maybe half full.
Yeah, if that. We'll see.
I think that's about it. I don't know what else I have to add. Like we said, full preview of that is going to come next week with the boys. Um, and I think we move to the basketball stuff now. I think that's FC covered. Basketball stuff. Not much to talk about there. I think we have one game to look back on, which was not not a good one. We lost to Buddy. I think it was 104-99 at
Yeah.
home.
Yep.
Um, yeah, not good. Which it feels like we take one step forward, one step back with a with a BC. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't really have too much. It's just been such a roller coaster, both good and bad. Nothing great other than like we probably could highlight the cup win a couple weeks ago when it was, but it's been rough to say the least. Um, like I said, take one step forward, one step back. We'll go two or three wins in a row, and then we'll lose the next two. Um, there's not much to say in my mind. Just basketball's a rough watch for Panathinaikos right now,
We
especially
had
heading
that
into playoffs.
We had that really, it was just the second quarter that killed us. Like if you look at quarter by quarter, even first quarter, plus three third quarter, plus five fourth quarter, but the second quarter minus 13. And that's what killed us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to kind of repeat myself, like you said. Um, it just feels bad coming off the cup win to just have this. you feel like the cup win, kind of turn a page, momentum, bring it to Europe. We need to like make a significant push in Europe because we've talked about it, uh, Final Four at home, all this stuff, and to not to not use that to our momentum just feels really bad. Um, I guess the bright spot was Nigel Hayes Davis, right?
Yeah, but even then, it's like I feel like even the roster construction just feels like we're just throwing money at names at this point.
It feels band-aidy, right?
Very.
Yeah.
Just you've got Slukas and Grant and Nunn's been out, and then Toliopoulos and Nigel Hayes Davis and Farid and Ragopoulos had we thought was going to come in another Greek prospect that's going to turn the page. Like there's so many names on paper. You look at it like this is an easy like top four team. Um, but it's just band-aiding. I mean, Nigel Hayes Davis just recently came. I'll give him that, but it's like who doesn't want to sign that name? You have the opportunity, but at the same time, like, was that a need? I don't know. We've been
Yeah.
harping on it. Our center, I think they just announced yesterday, the day before, maybe it was even today, for Euro 7, he was let go.
Was that just
Um,
like termination? What was that?
I didn't really find too much info on it. Just said, good luck on your next chapter.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
really read too much. There was a lot of it that's, speculating he's just gonna kind of rot on the bench and just see out his contract and he'll be gone in the summer. But uh, maybe it was just termination of contract. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
as again, it's another center that's gone, and our problem has been for the last 2 or 3 seasons now since the title inside
Yeah.
presence, ever since Lasor went down too. Like
And there's some
inside,
chatter about Lasor, isn't there?
yeah, there is. Just BC is just kind of rough and rocky right now, and just in a lot of different directions. Our
Yeah.
play, the coach, they lose the locker room, consistency, the emotions getting the best of him with the loss of his mother,
Yeah.
the losses just in results in games. It's just kind of everything's all over the place. Not a good place to be, really.
Yeah. And after that loss, we sit 10th, 16 and 13. 10th is the final playoff spot.
For
Seven
playing,
through
right? Yeah.
yeah, 7 through 10 is playing. On our heels is Dubai at 15 and 4. So we got one game on them, and behind them is Milano at 14 and 15. So I don't want to say we're safe because we're definitely not. We got, one team right on our heels, but it's good that it's not kind of multiple teams, because that would kind of feel a little worse. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Paris is 16, so like they're 10 and 18. So getting spanked at home by them, 100 points is doesn't feel good at all.
No.
And especially because of what's next. And what's next is not good either because it's Olympiacos away. And it feels like a must win. It feels like a must win because it's slipping a little bit. Like I said, Dubai is right on our ass. And saying that Olympiacos in Euroleague is a must win is really bad because the elephant in the room that's not really an elephant is they've fucked us in Euroleague. Um, yeah. So saying that that's a must win is just not a good feeling given is it 10 straight wins? What is it? I don't even know. Whatever. I don't want to know, but it's something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not great.
And it's away, which is yeah. I would not be super confident even if it was home. So the fact that it's away and it's a must win and they have our number in EuroLeague, it just does not inspire confidence.
No, not at all. Yeah. Like I said, not much to say. It's a must win the way things have been the last I don't even want to say all season because it has been, but even last like since the start of the year, and even just right before that, leading up to it, has been yeah, nothing much to say. Must win, and hopefully they can find somewhere to turn a page just right before playoffs and start a run. I mean the game basketball is a game of runs, but they have to find it or it's gonna be over really quick and really soon.
Yes, sir. Um, I don't know. I think we did it all. We did it. FCBC. Unless you have anything else to add, Alki, I think that's it for this episode of PAO Fans International. Thank you all for listening. As always, like, share, do the whole thing. Rate us. Thank you for listening. It means a lot. Next week the Aussies will be on, and hopefully they have some good stuff to talk about following the Olympiacos match. Hopefully our top four finish is secured at that point, and we're looking forward to a crucial tie with Betis in the round of 16 in Europa League.
Yep.
Uh, all right, that's it for us this week. Thank you guys, and bye bye.